Welcome back to DONSLIFE. Welcome to the channel. Today we're putting the final touches on my DV8 Off-Road setup. It's been just over 6 months since I installed their front bumper, rear bumper, their winch, and their fairlead, and I felt that it was time for a proper ownership follow-up. I'll be sharing with you how they've held up, some of my thoughts, and we'll also be installing a couple new accessories, which will be a throwback to the AT4's original look. Let's go. My DV8 Spec Series front bumper has been solid. It's still one of my favorite upgrades. It's aggressive, it has a clean fitment, and it's completely transformed the front of my truck. I wanted a wider stance. This bumper, I think, helps pull that together. And the powder coating is holding up really well, especially considering some of the road gravel, the sand, and the salt exposure that we see up here in this area of Canada. So far, I've got one rock chip right there. Nothing a little black satin touch-up paint couldn't handle. And honestly, if you're doing any real off-road driving or highway miles, things like that are par for the course. And I think it's easier to maintain a bumper like this than pretend that my factory bumper would stop boulders. Now in my front bumper, I've outfitted it with my Strands Siberia light bar. Right there, it's a 22-inch. It has a white and an amber DRL function. I've also installed the matching cubes over here. They do white and amber DRLs as well. And I will say, located right at this level is quite effective in lighting up the road in front of me. But there is something about the DRLs at night that just make this bumper look a little more sinister. And I'll have you know that the 2022 to 2025 version that fits the refresh of these trucks, it actually has a spot for an extra cube on each side. So I'm a little bit envious. Now moving to the back, this DV8 Spec Series rear bumper has been awesome. I love how it works with the truck's profile, works with all the lines, maintains the sensors for your lane departure warnings if you have that feature. And it's not all cosmetic either. We got great recovery points here, which we'll be addressing some shackles there in a little bit. I had some on there, I took them off for today's video, and you'll see why shortly. I do still have the vinyl on the sensors, so there are cutouts for your sensors. So using your factory sensors in the bumper, I think is a big plus. Now my exhaust shrouds don't need to be placed on here, but I like them, especially with my Borla S-type exhaust. I think it looks good. I like the profile. Some people have commented that I shouldn't have those on there, but I think it gives this a more finished look, so I'm keeping them like that. And this strong steel construction, if I back into something like a snowbank, it's not going to get damaged. And I wouldn't rule that out because this thing gets to see a lot of winter. Now, as much as I like this bumper, some of you might be thinking, well, it doesn't have the side steps. And you're right, it doesn't have the steps that would normally be in the pocket of the original bumper. However, as I keep analyzing the design, I think it would be possible to have an add-on step, just something that would bite your toe right here. You can get your foot in here, have it hang about that low, have it have some teeth on it. I think you could get away with a step right here. So maybe DV8 will watch this video. Maybe they could design an add-on step, if it makes sense, that would just fill up this area right here. I mean, why not? There's enough hardware mounting areas in behind here to make that happen, in my opinion. I mean, if it's a ground clearance issue, well, you still have all this stuff from the factory that hangs down there. I don't think a little bit in this area, considering the shroud hangs here and your exhaust, that you couldn't get away with something right here. Personally though, it wasn't a deal breaker for me, which is why I went with this upgrade. And if you didn't notice, I also have a pair, both sides, of Strands Dark Knight Vortex LED cubes. They're like a work light, but they glow red when I want them to, and then they project a nice flood beam of white light directly behind the truck. And you can actually change the color temperature on them, and that's what I did. I changed them to the same color temperature as the lights I installed up there from a different brand, and they look really, really good in my opinion. All of this I have set up to a switch. I didn't want them to come on every time I reversed because they are very bright, and I don't want to do that to lower vehicles that might be behind me when I'm parking. In my opinion, this entire theme, this overall look, the lighting, it was all part of a master plan to go with an overlanding rack that sits on top of my EGR roll track. All of this together works very, very well in my opinion. Now I've also got the DV8 WB12 SR, which means synthetic rope, which is tucked in nicely behind the front bumper. And to top it all off and to finish it off nicely, we got the upgraded fairlead as well. Now I haven't had to use my winch yet, and that's kind of the point. Now I didn't install this winch because I plan on getting stuck. I installed it because when things go sideways, I'm not going to be relying on a poor cell signal or a stranger in a lifted Jeep to bail me out. It's really about peace of mind. Equipped with the optional wireless remote and 12,000 pounds of pulling power, I'm confident that this winch will do the job when it's needed. And now for the finishing touch. I've had these DV8 Off-Road Elite Series D-rings, these shackles, sitting in my garage, and now it's time to install them on these bumpers. We'll put one pair out front, and we'll put one pair out back. I'm kind of excited because when I did this bumper upgrade, I lost the signature red tow hooks from the AT4, but DV8 Off-Road has us covered because, you probably saw right there, we got the red ones. And these come in multiple colors. Now these mount super easily. Just remove the pin, slide them onto the mounts, and tighten everything down securely. They also have these isolators to help with fitment. Made of high quality forged steel and 72,000 pounds of braking strength, I think I'm covered. I like that you can even tighten them with a 3/8 ratchet or chuck. And they're not just for looks, they give me solid recovery points, and I love the pop of the red against the satin black steel. Well, this to me really brings it all together. I mean, look at that, they're practical, they're rugged. I think it pays a nice homage to the factory AT4 look. What do you think? I'm looking at the back here. Yeah, I really like that. There's one negative that has nothing to do with the bumper itself, but has to do with another mod that I really didn't mention, and that's my Putco Freedom Blade light bar that's sandwiched in there. It's partly eclipsed by the bumper, so there is a new product coming out from Putco I'll be putting on the tailgate here. You may have seen the video I did on the Ford Raptor. Watch that if you want a preview as to what this one is going to entail. But that light bar down there, I might relocate it or disconnect it completely, I'm not sure. So all in, I'm super happy with my DV8 setup. It's held up to my Canadian climate, and so far, I don't have any rust or real issues with them. And even better, if you're considering something like this, they're reasonably priced. Now this is just my opinion, but these bumpers and accessories give you premium functions without having to drop thousands of dollars in the end. Now if you're like me and you like a mix of DIY installs, road trips, and a little bit of off-road adventure, then this definitely hits the sweet spot when it comes to affordability and functionality. So that, my friends, is my 6-month ownership review, 6 months plus ownership review of my DV8 Off-Road bumpers and accessories. If these are something you want to learn more about, see if they'll work with your vehicle, I'll leave links in the video description below. I'll also leave specific links to the products that we looked at today in the video description below, just in case you have the same truck as me. But on that note, if you liked today's video, hit that like button, please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.